Okay, let's look at forward and backwards differences now in MATLAB. Now the first thing we're going to need is a function. So I made up this function. It's simple enough that it's no problem to write out the derivative. And I went ahead and said we're going to plot it from 0 to 10. It doesn't do anything too interesting after 10, and that makes a nice, convenient endpoint. So in the past, I've done a lot of the work in the command window. Well, what we're doing now is too complicated. It's too much for just doing in the command window. And we're going to need to write an M file. So let's do that. I'll call it finite_diff because I'm pretty sure there's no command in MATLAB with that name. So there it is. It says, do you want to create it? You bet. Let's do that. And as always, the first command is function. And I'm going to go ahead and pass in a variable dx. And dx is going to be a step size. So just to keep things tidy, let's go ahead and put a clear command window command in there. And we're going to need to define x from 0 to 10 in steps of dx. And I don't want to see it, so we'll put the semicolon there. Let's go ahead and define the function here. Oops. And again, I don't want to see it echoed to the screen. And let's go ahead and write out the analytical derivative while we're at it. Okay, and again, I don't want to see it echoed to the screen. Well, next thing to do is probably to plot it. So I'm going to type in the plot command and go xf. Now let's make that blue. Now you can see that MATLAB is trying to anticipate what I want. It's doing a bad job of it right here. Now for df, we're going to be most interested in that. So let's make that easy to see. I'm going to make it red. For markers, I'm going to use diamonds. Now that I've defined a marker, I also have to define a line. And I'm going to do one more thing. The normal line width is set to 0.5, and I want to make this line a little bigger so we can keep track of it. So I'm going to type in, this line property called line width, and I'm going to set it equal to 1. And let's see, while we're at it, let's type in grid, and let's put a legend on here so we can keep track of which trace is which. All right, so the way I've got it set up, the first trace is going to be called f of x, and the second trace is going to be called df dx. All right, that looks pretty good. And last thing we do, let's just type in return. Now, if I go ahead and click run up here, it's not going to work. Watch. The reason is, it's throwing all kinds of information at me. When you click run, it just executes finite_diff. It just executes the function name. It doesn't pass any variable in or any value in. I need to do that down here. And let's start with 0.1 maybe. And bring this down here so we can see it. There we go, let's make that big. Well, that looks about right. Blue, that's our function. And red, that's the derivative. That's the exact derivative. That's not an approximation. So that's looking pretty good. Well, how do you want to do a finite difference derivative? Let's see, I'm going to want to put some space in here. So I'll make some white space for myself. First thing I'm going to want to do is define the forward difference. Well, in order to do that, I'm going to need a loop. So let's write for I equals 1 to length of x. Now the reason I wrote length of x in there is, because I don't know what value dx is going to be. It's passed in. I don't know how long x is. So the easy way to do this is just say whatever the length of x is, use that as your stopping point. So that takes care of that. And let's call FWD forward sub I equals. Now I see a problem here. We know that the forward difference is going to have one fewer points in it than x. But right now, I'm going to let forward difference, that vector here, have the same length as x. That's not going to work. So let's change this. Let's put a -1 up there, because it's going to take 2 points to define every element of forward difference. I'm going to run out of points, so that takes care of the problem. And let's say f of I plus 1 minus f of I, all that divided by dx. And again, I don't want to see this go to the screen. And hit end. Now you can see here that the loop, the inside of the loop is indented, so it's easy to follow. And see that I plus 1 here? That's what that -1 is for. That keeps the bookkeeping straight. Now, I want to add this to my plot, I think. Let's do this. Let's say hold on, and let's add another plot command. I'm going to take some of the white space out so we can keep it all on the screen. Now let's plot x, comma forward. This isn't going to work though, is it? Because x, which I defined up here, has a different length than forward. X is 1 point shorter than forward. So let's do this. 1 to n minus 1. Okay, whatever the end of value of x is, the end index, we'll just subtract 1 from it. Okay, now it should work. Now, what do I want to use for markers and colors and things like that? I'll tell you what, let's use circle, and let's make it black. K is black. It kind of looks like OK, but that's not what I'm writing. Circle for marker, K is black, and put that line in there. And now I've got one more trace, so let's add the legend in there. We'll call it maybe, spell it right, there we go, forward diff. Well, is that going to work? I think so. Let's go down here and recall that. Now that's probably too many points. Let's make it maybe 0.25 apart. And let's pull up our plot here and see what we get. Oh, well, it doesn't look bad, does it? Make this a little bigger for us to see. Blue is our exact function. Red is our exact derivative. And black there is our approximation to it. Well, how good is the approximation? Well, it kind of depends on where you are. Out here, wow, it's really good. Up here, not so good. Red is the exact, and black with the circles is our approximate. Not so good. Well, how would we fix that? Well, could we make dx smaller? Sure, let's do that. Let's go back to 0.1. Put that up there. Now you can see see what's going on here? I've added a bunch of stuff to it. And it's getting, because the hold is still on. How do I avoid that? How about this? Let's turn hold off right before we hit return. And let's try this one more time. There we go. That's what you call way more gooder right there. All right, so a couple things you'll see. The blue curve is a lot smoother because there's a lot more points. The red curve also smoother. But let's take a look up here where we had the big errors. Those errors are smaller. Now notice it's particularly bad right here at the beginning because the slope is higher. Now as the slope decreases, the errors decrease. As you can see, as I get to the end here where the slope doesn't change very fast, the errors get smaller. The thing about finite differences is the faster the slopes change, the harder it is for the finite difference approximation to keep up with it. If the change in slope is very low, like you see out here, it's really a good approximation. Right here, it's not. All right, well, there was forward difference. Could we add a backwards difference to it? Sure, let's do that. I'm just going to scroll ahead here a little bit. I'm going to give myself some more space. Now, do we want to put some text in here to explain what we're doing? That's not a bad idea. How about this? As you write code, you want to put lots of comments in it. I'm not putting many in right now because it's hard to fit on this little screen for the screen capture. But in practice, you want to put lots and lots of comments in. It's easy to think that as you type this out, you think, oh, I'll remember this. Here's the thing. Somewhere between 3 and 4 weeks later, you won't even remember writing this code. 6 weeks later, you'll look at it and someone else might as well have written it. You aren't going to remember it. So put lots of comments in. And you don't have to use an entire line for a comment. You can put a comment after a command if you want. Anything that comes after that % is a comment. So I can type in function, derivative. Okay, that helps. That's gets a little crowded there. If you want to put that as a separate line, you can. And you can also put as much space in this as you want. Make it easier to read. When MATLAB runs, it ignores all those spaces. So let's go down here and let's type in, make sure I do this right. There, so it matches. Now, how am I going to do this? Well, before I wanted to start at 1 and end before the last element of x. Here I want to do the exact opposite. I want to start at 2 and end at x. So let's do this. For I equals 2 to length of x. And let's call this maybe BKW for backwards. Call that variable. Okay, and you see all I've really done here is I've changed the indices right there. And I'll say end. So maybe we should add this plot. Remember I have hold off is still down here, so I can keep adding more plots if I like. Now I got a problem here. I still can't do this. This isn't going to work because x still has more elements in it than BKW does. But which x's do I want? Do I want to go from 0 to n minus 1? No, I'm looking backwards. So for this one, since I'm looking backwards, I'm going to go from 2 to end. Whoops. And what you're going to see is the backward difference and the forward difference look exactly alike. They're just shifted 1 point. Now I've got a bookkeeping problem here. Since this index started at 2, it fills in a 0 for 1. That's just something MATLAB does. So to make this work, I have to put that in as well. Now, what are we going to use for markers? I'm going to put in a V. That makes a triangle point with a point down. M for magenta, and put a line in there. And let's add one more thing to the legend. Click down here to get rid of all that stuff. Let's pull that back. Now, I'm going to make that step size pretty big so we can see it. And I think I'm going to get rid of that space too. There we go. How'd that work? Well, pretty well. You can see this now. The legend is over here. Now, if we want to make the legend bigger, if you think that's too small, just click on it. We can make the box bigger. Let's do this. Let's change the font. Maybe make that, it's 9 now. Let's make it 14. It's really easy to read. We can make these numbers bigger too. If you change the font down there, just right click on that, hit font. Let's make that 14 as well. There, now it's easier to see. Turn that off. That's a lot easier to see. Now let's zoom in here again. Over here, the errors are small. The slope is small, the change in the function is small. So the finite difference is keeping up pretty well. Over here, same problem, not so much. Remember, red is the exact. There's nothing approximate about that. Now, it's very blocky because the points are far apart, but at those points, the calculation is exact. And you see that the magenta and the black look just like each other, but they're separated by 1 delta x. And that's the difference between forward and backward at this point. When we start using finite difference approximations to solve differential equations, which we'll do here in a little while, forward and backwards differences behave differently. But for right now, they're very similar. So there we have it. Let's zoom out again, restore view. This is looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and make one more plot, and let's make the points much closer together so it looks nice and tidy. Open this up so you can see it. So we've made a nice little M file that does all this stuff for us, and we can pass dx in, so we can experiment with this as we wish. See, the M file is there, and it's saved over here, right there. Okay, here's my M file. So if I close this down, if I just double click on that, it comes right back. So this is saved. I can use this whenever I like. Right there. I hope this helps, and we'll talk to you next time.